Okay, let's run through some graphs. Let's start with a pictograph. A graph is data information that has been collected and compiled together. So a pictograph is a graph that uses pictures to represent the data that is collected. Whether it's a pictograph, bar graph, line graph, all graphs will have three parts. It has a title, it will have what's called labels, and it will have a scale, numbers to report your data. So on this pictograph, I'm going to draw some balls up here. All right. So these balls are my pictures. All right, so my pictures I use as a ball. My scale is going to be each ball equals 2 students. I have 3 sports that say I surveyed some students or in the class or in school and say, hey, what is your favorite sport? So my title simply is favorite sports. And I gave them the options. I have baseball, basketball, or football. So I have again my labels, the title of the sports. I have a scale. I'm using a picture, and it's going to represent 2 students. So baseball, how many students liked baseball? Well, I can't just say 5 because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because each ball equals 2. So I have 2 times 5, which would give me 10 students. All right, how many liked basketball? I have 2, 4, 6. I have a half of a ball. That means I only have 1 student because half of 2. So 2, 4, 6, 7. And then how many students liked football? 2, 4. And from this information, I can tell that baseball is the favorite. I can also tell that there is 6 more students that like baseball than football. Well, because that's 10 subtract 4. I also know that there's a difference of 3 students with baseball and basketball. All right, so a pictograph is a graph that uses pictures to chart the data. And you have a title, you have labels, and you have a scale. Now we're going to talk about a bar graph. All right, so a bar graph. This is a bar graph. Bars can either be vertical, so you can either chart the data this way, vertical, or the data can be charted horizontal. I'm going to do a demonstration of a horizontal bar graph. All right, a bar graph, it's also sometimes called a column graph, where we may use columns or bars. All right, again, we're going to have a title, we're going to have labels, and we're going to have a scale. Now notice my scale is in miles, and every line represents 200 miles. So this is lengths of North American rivers, of just some selected rivers. We have the Rock River. The Rock River is about 300 miles. So I'm going to go right in between the 2 and the 4. That means that right there would be about 300. All right, and you can color it in. All right, with up here I just normally draw a line there. All right, so we charted that information. If we said that Osage River is 500, where would we put 500? Between the 4 and the 5, right? So about right here, and I would connect this and make a bar or a column. Then you have the Cimarron, which is 600, about 600. So right on the 600 line mark, I'm going to draw me a column or a bar. The North Canadian is 800, so I'm going to come over to the 800 and draw me a line here, or a column. And then we have the Churchill, which is 1,000. So come over here. And I have now drawn a horizontal bar graph. using bars to represent my data. Again, bars can either be horizontal or vertical, vertical or horizontal. Bar graphs are also called column graphs, but again, they have three main informations. They have a title, they have a label, and they have a scale. All right, now let's talk about a line graph. When you have a line graph, it's because the information will be represented with a line. But before we draw the line, we have to plot the data. All right, and then we get to do connect the dots, like 1 to 2 to 2 to 3, 3 to 4. All right, so this is, but when we're done, we'll have one line. It won't necessarily be straight. It won't necessarily be diagonal. It might be all kinds of lines. All right. So I gave a title, normal precipitation in Wytheville. All right, obviously this is just as a demonstration. I gave you a label, and I put inches. I started at 2 inches, and I went to 3 inches. Each of these lines represent 2, 2.1, 2.2. All right, those are my inches. That's my scale. My labels are going to be the months. All right, so let's say January. We get 2.1 inch. So I would put a circle, a dot, right there. All right, let's say February, though, because it's a shorter month, we only got 2. But March, we're starting to get some snow in March. Let's go 2.5. April showers brings May flowers. So we're going to say April was 2.8. But May dropped off to say 2.4, all right? And June, let's say it's a hot summer day. Say we got right at 2.5. July was hot, only got 2.3. August, they only got 2. All right, and you could keep plotting. So just for fun, September, let's pick one we haven't. Let's do October. Let's go about the same. November, we went, say, 2.6. December, with the snow and stuff, we only got 2.3. Now, I have to connect the data information. And now I'm going to end up with a line. Well, I start with my plotted information of January. I go January to February. And I'm going to go February to March. I'm going to go March to April, to May, to June, to July, August, September, October, November, December. And now I have a line graph. Again, I have a title, I have a scale, and I have labels. All right, so there is a pictograph, a bar graph, and a line graph. I'm going to hold off on the circle graph and do just a lesson on circle graphs, and then finding the percents of how to put a circle graph together and all that stuff. But as you can imagine, a pictograph uses pictures, a bar graph uses a bar, a line graph uses a line. Guess what shape a circle graph is going to be? A circle. Awesome. Have a great day, and keep those math skills sharp. Bye-bye.